Michelle Torrio, and this is the Be Mindful podcast. Hello, and welcome back to the Be Mindful podcast. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about our goals, how we can be intentional with our goals, and how we can stay disciplined and show up consistently. As we step into the last week of January, I felt that this episode would be perfect because this is usually a time when people start to fall off of their new habits they are trying to incorporate. The beginning of the year, the energy is so high, everyone is so motivated, and they're ready to step into a newer version of themselves, a newer and improved. But as we all know, motivation doesn't last. And because of that, old habits want to pull us back in and comfortability wants to take over. And that's exactly why I wanted to share this episode today. So if you're finding yourself drifting away from your new habits, or maybe you want to get moving and take action toward your goals, this is the episode for you. I am super far from perfect, okay? And there have definitely been many times I have fallen off certain habits, but I'm human and you're human. And sometimes our old habits do come back. So that is where we need to take accountability and recognize, okay, what's happening? How am I responding to this? And how can I change? What can I improve? Now, before we get into it, there's something I do want to mention about discipline that I think is really important and may help you have a new perspective on it. And that is that discipline isn't forcing yourself to do something that you don't want to do. Discipline helps you create a habit and it's predictability for your brain. So sometimes doing the new stuff you're working on implementing as a habit, or maybe you're trying to create a new belief about yourself, that can feel forced when really you're just not used to it. I just wanted to give you that new perspective because discipline can come easily if you teach your brain predictability. Now, the first step to being intentional with your goals is the easiest step, but it's also a step that hardly anyone does, and that is writing your goals down. You need to get very clear on your goals and need to understand why do you want it anyways. And sometimes when you go over your goals, you realize that some of those goals don't really align with who you are today. We are ever evolving, and it's totally okay if you change your goals. And it's totally okay if you start a new goal or start over again towards working a new goal. You can reset and restart at any time, and there's nothing wrong with that. You will not fail if you keep going. So even if you restart again, so what? You didn't stop. You didn't quit. You went back and tried again. Now, as you write your goals down, I do advise to write maybe 3 to 5 goals. You definitely don't want to overwhelm yourself. So like I mentioned earlier, you need to be clear with your goals and why you want it. And your why needs to be bigger than you. So for example, I had to be really honest with myself on why I started this podcast because I was starting and then I would stop and then I would go back and then I would just start all over again. And having a podcast of my own has always been a dream of mine. So I kept questioning myself, okay, why do I keep stopping? Like, what is something that's holding me back? And it was my fear. It was my fear of being vulnerable. And then on top of that, I wasn't really managing my time very well. I wasn't setting myself up for success to be able to post consistently. So I kept asking, why? Why do I want this? What is this for? And because I took off for a year, I literally had so much time to think about this. And I prayed a lot, asking God, like, what do you want me to do? Should I go back to podcasting? Do I need to go back to coaching? Like, where are you leading me? And it came to my realization that He wanted me to show up fully when I was ready. And He knew that now was the time. So my why is because of Him. He helped me realize that the gift that I have is helping others through my knowledge and my experiences. He wants me to spread that to the world, even if it reaches just one person. That is what my calling feels like. That feels right to me, and that is my why. So enough about me, but that's an example I wanted to share with you. Like, why do you want something? Don't go for something that doesn't align with you. And if you are trying to achieve a goal for someone else, like for your parents, for example, or for other people, or you're scared what other people will think if you end up stopping going towards this goal, that goal is not aligned with you. So be real with yourself. Be honest with the goals that you want. And if your dreams feel unrealistic, write that shit down. because nothing is unrealistic, especially with God. Anything is 100% possible if you believe in it. Guaranteed. Even if it takes time, it is going to happen. And if it doesn't happen, trust me, something better is out there for you. Now, when you're done writing your goals, I want you to highlight your top 3. Once you have your top 3 goals, the next step is game planning. You cannot become the person you want to be if you do not prepare. So, your game plan is how you're going to get there. What is your roadmap? Now, we can't control when things are going to happen or how they're going to happen, but we can control the action steps we're going to take. So, it is our responsibility to take aligned action, because when you take action, miracles can happen, opportunities can happen. God wants to give you what you want. But remember, he will only give you what he believes is best for you. And he wants to make sure that he can trust you with it. And sometimes we won't understand why things don't come to us sooner, but we just have to accept that he knows why. And we need to be able to trust him and his plan, because his plan is always better than ours, bigger and better than ours. Remember that. And anytime you reach a rejection, it's only redirection. Time and work put into something is never a waste. It's experience and it's learnings that you now have. You really want to create a roadmap for yourself. How are you going to know how to get there? You have to become the expert, right? So, for example, let's say you want to become a Pilates instructor, and you can't become a Pilates instructor without being prepared, right? I'm pretty sure you have to get certain certifications and you have to go and put in a specific amount of hours to get the certification. You have to study, you have to prepare. And part of you becoming that Pilates instructor and creating your roadmap could be you setting aside a time every single week to look into specific Pilates certifications, and maybe doing your research and asking other people that maybe you know are Pilates instructors, or actually going to Pilates classes to see if this is something that you can envision doing, because there's a difference of being the student and a difference of being the actual instructor. Or maybe your goal is to get a new job. So for example, if you want a specific role, like what are you looking for? Maybe you don't know what that is, and that's totally okay. Maybe you want to work for a company that gives you full benefits. Maybe you want to work remote. You want a specific type of schedule, something that also works with your strengths and your lifestyle. That is being very clear of like what job you want, right? So what is the roadmap to get there? You're going to do your research. You're also going to create your resume. You're going to set time aside to find jobs that maybe align with what you're looking for. And that could be just looking twice a week, 3 times a week. Honestly, really up to you. But how often are you going to do that? That is how you're going to be able to achieve this goal, because you're putting in the work. You are taking aligned action towards that goal. And another example, but this will be my last one, is what if you want a dream wedding? I wanted to share that because I achieved my dream wedding. I still look back and I'm like, how the heck did I do that? But we did it. And a big part of it was planning. It was understanding our budget, knowing what I wanted, and being very intentional and taking the steps to create the dream wedding that I wanted. I did not have a wedding planner, which is obviously amazing and so helpful. Wedding planners are seriously awesome. I had a day of wedding planner, but outside of that, a lot of it was DIY. I had to create a roadmap to get there and achieve what I wanted. So circling back, write your goals down, pick your top 3, and then create a game plan for each of those goals. So now that you wrote all your goals down, you have the roadmap right in front of you. How are you going to stay consistent? How are you going to stay disciplined? And that is first understanding what beliefs and what habits you need to step into this new level of you. While you're writing down and getting clear of like what the beliefs are and what the habits are, I also want you to remember, like, how can we make sure that you have time for fun and you have the balance of getting the tasks you need to get done that will provide you closer towards your goals while also having fun. So once you know the beliefs and habits that you need to become this version of you, I want you to track for at least a month. Like habit track. See what habits you do often and want to continue doing, as well as how often you're following your roadmap. So you can just get out a piece of paper and put the date for each one, or use your calendar, and then every day just mark down like, okay, these are all the things that I did. Put the things that you loved, you enjoyed, things that maybe like were even energy drainers. You want to be very clear on how you are approaching your day to day. And after a month, look at all of the habits that you tracked and see like, how often did you show up towards your goals? How often were you finding the balance of fun and showing up for these tasks that you needed to do? And remember that your beliefs are considered as habits, because a belief doesn't become a belief unless you consistently think about it. So if you notice a pattern in a thought coming up, write that down. Write that down as one of the habits that you know. And if it's a belief that you want to let go of, and then if you notice that was a pattern in your habit tracking, that's going to allow you to shift, because you now have that awareness that you want to let go of that negative thought, that negative belief. Another way that you're going to stay disciplined and consistent is through affirmations. And I'm not just talking about saying your affirmations. I mean like adding sticky notes in your house, adding reminders on your phone to go off. Like, how are you going to keep yourself going? And it's always going to stem back to your mindset and your belief. So using affirmations or mantras or even Bible verses that like have really helped you, read those every single day and put them around your house. Or like I said, add them as reminders on your phone so that they pop up. And by doing that, you're training your mind to be in that type of energy. So for example, one of my favorite mantras that I've been saying and has really been such a game changer for me is follow the plan, not the mood. Because one, it's in fact true. I will not always be motivated. I have a plan, and if I don't want to do it just because I'm lazy, like, no, I'm going to follow the plan, not the mood. So that mantra has been really, really helpful for me. I say it every single time I'm lazy or I'm just not feeling it. And of course, if I'm not feeling well, I'm obviously going to like actually take a step back. But it has really helped me continue going. So truly, anything that'll help you keep going, even if it's little reminders for yourself, just popping up on your phone, do that. As I mentioned in the beginning of this episode, motivation is not always going to be there. It's going to come and go. So if we want to stay consistent, we need to be able to remind ourselves of why we're doing this. We need little reminders to keep us going. Now, as you move forward with your goals, I want you to remember this. Intention is what turns effort into alignment. You don't need to rush. You don't need to be perfect, and you don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to show up with awareness and commitment. Discipline isn't about punishment. Like I said earlier, it's not about forcing. It's about devotion. Devotion to the life that you're building, the person you're becoming, and the future you're choosing on purpose. So as you set your goals, ask yourself, does this support the life I want to live? And if the answer is yes, take the next intentional step, even if it's small, especially if it's small. The roadmap you created doesn't need to be accomplished immediately. So use your roadmap as motivation to get there. You are creating a path to get to where you want to be. And that is all for today's episode. Thank you so much for spending time with me. Please share this with someone who may need encouragement to keep going, because progress happens when intention meets consistency. And don't forget to be mindful, because who you are from within will attract from the out. See you in the next episode. Bye.